All I've got to say is told you so, told you so, told you so. Of course, I'm talking about this never released January 6th footage that Tucker Carlson showed on his show last night, Monday night and Tuesday night. And they're melting down in D.C. The establishment, everybody in the media, melting down. I'll tell you what they're mad about. They're mad that Tucker Carlson one-upped them because they've had full access to this 40,000 hours of video footage. All they had to do was ask. It's been 2 years. All you had to do was ask. And Tucker Carlson just didn't go blindly on the air and show these clips. He checked with the D.C. police, made sure it was okay. They looked for different bookmarks with his video footage, as they call it. And by that, they know that the January 6th committee saw this footage, but they were hiding that from the public. Just like when they edited that clip of Trump saying, now we're going to march to the Capitol. Well, he actually said, if you go back and you check the tape, he actually said, now we're going to march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol to make our voices heard. That's what Trump said. And I didn't vote for Trump. But this is too good. And then CNN, they ran a counter piece over this Fox News piece talking about Tucker Carlson releasing this footage, where they admitted but couldn't quite admit that Tucker Carlson was right. They just, for some reason, don't want to admit that, yes, January 6th was a setup. And we ran on it. Come on, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, you were all in on it. And this QAnon shaman, whose real name is Jacob Chansley, well, he's rotting in a jail cell somewhere. I think they gave him, like 41 months? Which is more time than most crimes in your local community get sentenced for. So here's what good old Chuck Schumer had to say, melting down on the Senate floor. I and so many others who were here are just furious with Tucker Carlson, with disregard of the risk and knowing full well he was lying to his audience. Fox News host Tucker Carlson ran a lengthy segment last night arguing the January 6th Capitol attack was not a violent insurrection. Well, number one, Chuck Schumer, if you take your glasses off for a moment, you might notice this. It was not an insurrection. Number two, Tucker Carlson didn't dismiss the people who got out of hand. But what he showed was the QAnon shaman, this Jacob Chansley fella, being escorted by police in the Capitol building. At one point, 9 police officers. If this guy was creating such a threat, because remember, he was supposed to be the face of the Trump movement, of these insurrections, these violent insurrectionists. Why didn't they arrest Jacob Chansley, the QAnon shaman, on the spot? And he's on video praising the Capitol Police for letting him in to the Senate chamber. Because on this video footage, that's what they're doing. Trying to unlock some doors, basically guiding him through the building. And you can see them let him in. One of these officers opens the door to the Senate chamber and lets him in. Remember Officer Brian Sicknick? These were such violent insurrectionists, these extremists, these right-wingers, that they attacked Officer Brian Sicknick with a fire extinguisher, flagpole, whatever they could find, and they brutally beat him to death. 5 police officers died on January 6, 2021. Well, it turns out the only person who actually died on January 6 was Ashley Babbitt, a Trump supporter who was unarmed, shot by a Capitol police officer who had a violation of having his gun in a bathroom somewhere. But Brian Sicknick, in another clip that Tucker Carlson showed, that was bookmarked, that the January 6th committee saw, never showed to the public, 20 minutes after this so-called deadly attack, where he was brutally beaten with a fire extinguisher and flagpole, he's seen hopping around like a spring chicken, moving people along, wearing a helmet. Oh, this is just too funny. I'm gloating over this. Yes, you had people who were getting out of hand. But how many people were actually here for this rally? And they had a permit to be there. So how could this be an insurrection if they had a permit to be there? It's not an insurrection. What you had was a group of people who got out of hand. But the video also shows that on the inside of the building, people were just walking around in line formation. They weren't burning anything down. They weren't attacking or taking down statues, unlike BLM, Antifa. They weren't doing any of that. Hey, look, Johnny, look at the tile up there. Yeah, my great-great-grandpa, he put it up there because he was a slave. Don't you know this building was built on slaves? Slave labor. So in response to this comment by Chuck Schumer, Kevin McCarthy, he said this, quote, each person can come up with their own conclusion from this video footage. Well, I want to see all the footage released. And Tucker Carlson said that we verified this with the Capitol Police. We spent God knows how many hours looking through all this footage. Most of it's irrelevant because it's just your standard security footage where nothing happens, an empty room somewhere. But Chuck Schumer didn't stop there. He said this, to say January 6th was not a violent insurrection is a lie pure and simple. I don't think I'll ever see a primetime cable news anchor manipulate his viewers the way Mr. Carlson did last night. Where's the manipulation if he's showing you these clips? Hey, this is your security cameras at the Capitol building. You recorded this, and you people in the media, you ran with this narrative, didn't you? Ran with the narrative that this was a violent insurrection. Gordon's going to come back tonight with another segment, Schumer warned. Fox News should tell him not to. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, tell Carlson not to run a second segment of lies. Take a show off the air. Calling for censorship on the Senate floor. He needs to be fired. Somebody give that guy a pink slip immediately. Chuck Schumer, you're fired. So here are some of the headlines out there, because they're all on the tizzy over this. Washington Post, Capitol Police Chief blasts Tucker Carlson over misleading January 6 footage. Politico, White House goes after Tucker Carlson by name over January 6 coverage. New York Times, White House rebukes Tucker Carlson over portrayal of January 6 attack. Good old USA Today, Tucker Carlson uses security video to push lies about January 6. And finally, NBC, Biden blasts Tucker Carlson, Republicans for depiction of January 6th. Tucker Carlson didn't do anything wrong here. He wants to get to the bottom of this. Just like I do. What happened January 6th? We have a right to know, as the American people, what happened January 6th. And if you want a better example of why it's a good time to just divorce ourselves from D.C., this is it. If they're going to lie to the American people about what happened January 6th and hide this, in a court of law, these people would have their ass hung out to dry for doing this in a court of law if they withheld evidence like this. I believe it's called exculpatory evidence. They would. They'd have their ass hung out to dry for doing something like this in a court of law. But Tucker Carlson didn't do anything wrong here, so I thought I'd come here talk about this. And it was all a ruse to get rid of Trump. Where was security? And Tucker Carlson even interviewed one of these police officers, I believe it was last night. I think he's doing a whole series this week on January 6th. There's probably more footage yet to come. Oh, I just can't wait. I just can't wait to see what's next. But this was a violent insurrection, and yet you have these Capitol Police officers, 9 of them, escorting the QAnon shaman, this Jacob Chansley fellow, all over the building and letting him in the Senate chamber. And who exactly, these so-called violent insurrectionists, who exactly were they? Were they Trump supporters? Were they there infiltrating the crowd? Were some FBI agents like Ray Epps? You realize that Ray Epps has never been charged, and he was the only one seen on video telling people to go into the Capitol building? And if not mistaken, he is FBI. So there you go, folks. Your government is lying to you. I'm going to tell you why they're doing it is because they don't want you to have the power. And they forget who they work for. They work for you. They work for us, the American people. It's time they start acting like it. Let us see the footage. Let us see what happened January 6th in all its guts and all its glory. That's all we're asking is for the truth. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can also follow me at Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. Or go to Twitter, Culture Confederacy at Twitter. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. God bless this thing we call the United States. And you know how we do it here. This is where the past crashes with the present. I'll catch you next time.